Welcome back to the #1 television show in the history of the world, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. All three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Walter Mosley, The Long Fall. This is the first book in the Leonard McGill mystery series. It says so right on the bottom. First, let's see. The first Leonard McGill mystery. So, imagine my imagine my surprise, because I have been loving the Walter Mosley Easy Rollins mystery series, which there are, I don't know how many books there are. I've got them up here on my shelf. I will just pan through my library and show you. That is my entire Easy Rollins mystery series by Walter Mosley. I don't know, it looks like there's maybe 12 to 15 books in that series. Imagine my surprise and delight when I found that Walter Mosley had an entire other series, an entire other mystery series, the Leonard McGill series. Now, the Easy Rollins series is set kind of back in time, as like starts in the 1950s, and I've read 4 or 5 of the books and reviewed them for the channel, and it's just set way back 1950s, 1960s Los Angeles. This book is set in present day New York City, so we've got an entirely different era of crime stuff going on with an entirely different era of characters in it, a more modern era of characters. And I gotta tell you, I think I was more impressed with this, with all of the stuff going on in this more modern book than the sort of historical mysteries that I've been reading about Easy Rollins that Walter Mosley wrote. So this came out in 2009. Like I said, it's book #1 in a mystery series. I think so far there are 5 to 6, maybe 7 books out in this series. Let's review the cover first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. The cover's pretty dope. I mean, it's just pretty simply a kind of a sort of a stylized landscape of New York City, the skyscrapers in the background, and then just, you know, a nice font for the title and the author's name and what have you. And then, you know, the spine is all right, and then we've got a nice photograph of the author on the back. So, who is Leonard McGill? He's a little bit similar to Easy Rollins, a little bit. I mean, Easy Rollins was a World War II veteran, moved back to Los Angeles after World War II, and is dealing with different problems in the race issues of early Los Angeles. Well, not early Los Angeles, like 1950s and 60s Los Angeles. So Leonard McGill, he's kind of a tough guy of his own. I mean, he is an ex-boxer. He's 50 years old. He looks like a tough, well, he's kind of short. So he's a little bit underestimated once in a while. He's a short dude, bald dude, a boxer dude. He's got a wife, 2 stepkids, and 1 kid of his own, Dimitri. His wife is Katrina. The stepkids are Shelley and Twill. He really likes his stepkid Twill. He's actually kind of become a real father figure to Twill. And then he's got a side piece, got a girl on the side, got a piece on the side, and her name is Aura. A-U-R-A. So that's kind of, we get introduced to Leonard McGill. We get kind of introduced to him just through sort of his family, his philanderings, things like that. Anyway, he's paid to, we kind of meet him as he's going into this high-rise business type like building, and he's he's investigating, and he goes in. He's paid to find 4 guys. We don't really know why these 4 guys need to be found. They've got ties to Albany, New York, and Cohoes, New York, and Troy, New York, and a lot of stuff in there, like the New York mobsters, but set in Albany. Although this takes place in Manhattan, a lot of it takes place in Albany, which I found fascinating because I lived in Cohoes, New York for about 6 months, which is just outside of Albany. And, so I know the landscape of that area. I also lived in New York City itself. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just kind of like when authors visit areas of the world that I've lived in or been to, whatever. Anyway, Leonard McGill is paid to find 4 guys. Well, he finds 3 of them. One of them is dead. One of them is in prison. One of them is awaiting trial. 2 goes to prison. And the other one is named Roger Brown, and he is the last one. And that's who when we jump into the story, that's who he is searching for in this high-rise business. And just the interaction that he has with the people in that business, we open up with those kind of scenes. Just the dialogue is so great, so on point. This book really sort of reminded me of what I loved the HBO show The Wire for. It just gives you a lot of inner city characters doing what did I say any sitter? Holy shit. Breathe. Inner city characters. I am going to just stop talking right now, and I'm just going to read the jacket before I bungle this review anymore, trying to remember and talk. So let us just, because this is a good description of what's happening here in the jacket, and I really loved this book. Leonard McGill, private investigator extraordinaire. Being a black man with a funny name, all of a sudden isn't quite the same burden it once was. Ex-boxer, hard drinker, in a business that trades mostly in cash and favors, Leonard McGill's an old-school private investigator, working in 21st century Manhattan that's gotten fancy all around him. Fancy or not, he has always managed to get by, keep a roof over the head of his wife and kids, and still manage a little fun on the side, which we mentioned earlier. Mostly because he's never been above taking a shady job for a quick buck, no questions asked. But like the city itself, McGill is turning over a new leaf. He's decided to go from crooked to just slightly bent. The world in which McGill plies his trade is the city behind the city. The old-time mobsters, clinging to their last bits of power. The hidden fixers who play city politics like a puppet show. The delivery driver who's really a fearsome hitman. And the computer tech who's tapped into everyone's information all the time. The corrupt cops, over-leveraged landlords, compromised bankers, and doormen on the take whose negotiations really make the town operate. As soon as TheLongFall begins, with McGill calling in old markers and greasing NYPD palms to unearth some seemingly harmless information for a high-paying client, he learns that even in this cleaned-up city, it's clear that his commitment to the straight and narrow is going to be a tricky proposition. Yes. That's a pretty good description of the book. I would have mangled that description. Anyway, I really liked this a lot. I liked it better than the Easy Rollins, and I was really taken with Easy Rollins. But I think I like Leonard McGill a little better. And so anyway, shall I buy the next 4 or 5 or 6 books in the series? We shall see. But for now, I'm going to give this a solid, very enthusiastic 10 out of 10 stars. I just didn't find any flaw with it whatsoever.